Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Podcasting. We have a wonderful guest today. His name is Adam Torres, and he is the host of the Mission Matters series of shows, which ranks in the top 2.5% out of, I think, over 3 million globally. And he also is the co-founder of Mission Matters, which is a media branding and book publishing agency. He's featured as an international speaker. He is an author of multiple books. So we have a lot of questions for Adam because he is going to help us as entrepreneurs and as podcasters. So we're going to begin, first of all, by welcoming you, Adam. Thank you for being here today.
Soul podcasting in the house. Come on, let's have some fun today.
Let's do it. So let's talk about who you are and really just what your personal mission is right now, because the name of your company is Mission Matters. So what is your personal mission?
I'm on a mission to amplify stories. I come on shows like this because I want to inspire others to tell their stories. I believe that people should have a voice. People should use that voice, and people should use their story to help others. So that's my personal mission. And then at my company, Mission Matters, our tagline is "We amplify stories." So you see how I did that there? They match.
Yep, you did they match. So, perfect.
So that's at our company. We do things, everything from helping people launch podcasts to writing books, to helping them with their social media. But on the back end, we do a bunch of those things. But the main thing, whether somebody uses our service, whether somebody uses somebody else, whether they do it themselves, that's not the point. The point is get out there, put yourself in the game, and tell your story.
Tell your story. That's what it's all about. Everybody has a story, and people want their voice to be heard and sometimes just don't know how to get started with this. So now you started in finance. And so I'm kind of wanting to hear your story about how you pivoted into media and content.
So starting in finance is the opposite of telling your story. So learning it now, when I was in that business almost 14 years, and it was a different world, strictly corporate America. It was, I worked for some big companies, and then I finally exited and had my own RIA at the end. And during that time, when I did start the original RIA, my mentor, he told me you have to write a book. And I'm like, I'm not writing a book. What am I going to write a book for? Like, broke people write books. Who cares about books? At this time, I was uneducated on anything around this. I didn't understand the value of sharing your story. I didn't think anybody would care about my story, to be honest. Like, I was like, who cares? I'm, this person that, has been in finance, and I help people with their money. But I didn't really think anybody had, or I didn't think I had one of these amazing stories that people were going to care about. I wasn't a basketball player or a football player. I didn't have these amazing tales of overcoming some health issue or something, extreme, like some of the things that I gravitated to when it came to stories and things that I would read, super inspirational. I didn't think anybody would care. So I wrote the book, put it out, and the opposite happened, and people did care. And I found myself on speaking tours as far away as China. And I just found all these things happening and coming. And I kind of started to understand that, like, the power of sharing your story, especially through books. And the most interesting thing happened is, you know what God does. When God wants to send you some messengers, he sends them. So people started asking me to help them publish books. And I'm like, I'm a financial advisor. What are you talking about? I don't help people publish books. But these were, colleagues and people that had seen what I had been able to do for myself. And I'm like, And then, the first person came, I said, no. Second person, no. Third person, I'm like, all right, God, I understand. I'm supposed to be publishing some books, but I don't know how to do it. So you better give me some guidance here, okay? And then I came across the Chicken Soup for the Soul series and that book series, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, if I was to help somebody publish a book, I should do like an anthology model and do something like that. And what's funny and interesting about that is we just published, and for those of you at home, you can't see what I'm holding up, but I'm holding up the 11th edition of that anthology series. 11th.
Nice. 11th.
And we've published over 400. 9 years later, we've published over 400 authors in that series. So starting with not wanting to do it, not and you know, figuring it out, not knowing how to do any of this stuff, and finally getting
Wow.
out there and doing that. And that's when the brand started to grow. Then we started a
Wow.
podcast. Didn't want to do that either, but did that, and then
Wow.
then it continued to grow.
That's amazing. Okay, when you first kind of got the inkling that you were supposed to help people, they started asking you questions like, help me write a book, help me do this,
Yeah.
right? So, how long was it before you actually just said, yes, I will help someone do this? I will
Yeah.
start this process. Like, was it
So
years or months?
no, no, no. I'm a little slow. So when God
Okay.
sends me messages, like God gives them to me rapid fire. I mean,
Uh-huh.
literally three people asked me within like 2 days. And I'm like, no, that's how God works with me. He knows
Wow.
I got a short attention span, and he's like, no, let me get this knucklehead this message now. So I had
That's amazing.
like three in like 2, 3 days, maybe four, I don't know, but it was so obvious, and it was people that were like, and the way that it came to me was that basically, I wanted their business, so I'm like, I didn't want to keep telling people no. I'm like, well, wait a minute, like I could publish this story, we'll figure that out, right?
Right, right. You figured
But
out a
what I
way to
really
make it
wanted to
happen.
do was manage their money. I don't manage money anymore, but that was the point at that time, right?
Yeah. That's amazing how you pivoted, but it was just it was aligned for you. It was what was meant for you. And
Now
everybody,
I still had the other company, by the way, so
oh,
I didn't know I was still working, doing my
okay.
normal thing. This was just
Yeah.
you can call it a side project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Hmm.
then that side project turned into what it is today, which
Yeah.
is amazing. So the name of your company is Mission Matters. So now that we're talking about amplifying voices and helping people find
Mm-hmm.
their okay to go ahead and share their story through books or through
Yeah.
podcasting, tell us how you came up with the name Mission
Yeah.
Matters.
I didn't come up with it. I was again, this is one of those messages from God. I'm telling you, so the original name of the company was Money Matters.
Oh,
And because remember, I was a financial advisor. It was a money platform originally. That
mhm.
was my intention. God had other plans, but that was my intention. So one day I'm interviewing somebody, and the person says, you know, Adam, money matters, but mission matters too. And
Wow.
I'm like, so I was literally in an interview, and I'm telling you, it was like something hit me in the stomach. I'm like, oh, all right, God, I understand. I got it, I got it.
That's
So,
amazing.
so then I talked to my other co-founder, and his name is Shirag Sagar, and I talked to him, and I'm like, hey, what about the name Mission Matters? And he says, well, and we're talking, then we forget about it, and then he calls me back like 2 weeks later. He's like, hey, Adam, what do you think about the name Mission Matters? And I'm
Mm,
like, Shirag, that is a great idea.
that's amazing.
He didn't
That's
remember that we even had the conversation. He's like, I that's a great idea. And so
wow.
we restarted the entire company. Just for some context, we already had books published. I'd already done 1,500 episodes under the Money Matters name,
Oh my goodness.
podcast
That's a
episodes.
huge change.
We had a website fully functioning, running a full media outlet. We had the social
Wow.
media going. We had branding. Everything was done for the name Money Matters. So we stopped the company on a dime, and we relaunched 9 days later. It took us, and we launched over 30 different social media channels. We launched eight new podcasts, excuse me,
Wow.
and they're all different niches, everything from money to business to marketing to we have a lifestyle and luxury podcast, an entertainment
Wow.
podcast, and so those all kind of niched out when we did the rebrand. We kind of said, well, what we do the second time around, and we
Mhm.
literally started over, lost all those subscribers, lost all those followers, and started over, you know, after
Wow.
and from scratch. And we were rewarded. I feel like that was one of those moments with God where you step and you know you don't exactly know what's on the other side, and you're
Yeah.
rewarded.
Yeah. You kind of have to step out in faith
Yeah.
and go with what your gut instinct tells you.
Even though it makes no sense, like
Right.
in zero sense, you're like, it's hard enough to start a dang media company the first time and to get
Yeah.
anybody to care. You're gonna start over again for no
Wow.
reason.
That was bold. It was a bold move, but it, like you said, it was worth it for you. And so tell us a little bit about what you do to help your clients. I know you
Yeah,
help with books and
yeah.
with storytelling. So What all do
Well,
you do?
a big part of what we do now is helping others find and realize their mission. And what we found is through some of these channels, such as launching podcasts and shows, we've launched over 250 shows now, and books. I mentioned we published over 400 authors. We have a personal branding accelerator as well, where we help individuals build their personal brand from scratch, or if they already have a great personal brand, how do they get to that next level? We help them with that. So all of the products and all the things that we do, we have a big community. We hold events. We'll hold a solid 50 events this year. So we do about 50 events plus. And if anybody wants to see any of this stuff, you just go to my Instagram, Ask Adam Torres. There's a link tree there. If you click on that, you'll see our events calendar. You'll see links to the books, to everything else. So it's real
That's
simple.
amazing.
But really, we built this ecosystem around helping others amplify their brands and amplify
Okay.
their names. So we're not your typical, let's just say, influencer type platform. If you look at everything we do, what we're doing is whenever we figure something out, whether it's launching a show, getting a book out there, marketing, then our aim and our goal is to help others to get their message out with those tools we've been given. So
Wow.
that's how everything's designed. That's where we stand today.
Yeah.
Where we'll be in the future, who knows? If there's
Yeah.
some new technology or some new thing that helps others get their story and their message out, then we'll be doing that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And podcasting is part of that as well. And so I love hearing how you help you help individuals to find their voice and to amplify that through all these
Hmm.
different mediums, including writing a book,
Yeah.
getting on a show, or creating their podcast, or just somehow there's a way that they can share their story. And that's what your company does with branding and messaging. So that's amazing. And you personally have done over 6,000 interviews,
Oh yeah, I'll do.
correct?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
this year I'll do 2,000. So yeah,
Oh,
we stay
whoa.
busy. Yeah, we stay busy. That calendar's back to back, and if you're waiting to get on the show, it's okay. I'm sorry. We're trying.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. I'm just going to say that's a lot of showing up. And so a lot of energy, a lot of intention of I'm doing this and this is going to happen on a regular basis. And so I wanted to ask you how it's changed your life, how
Yeah,
podcasting and showing up in these spaces to share your story, how does
yeah.
it change your life and your approach to business?
Well, first off, somebody always takes that other side and they say, "Oh, you've done this many." I'm shocked that many people want to talk to me. That's pretty nice. I'm like, what? 6,000 people wanted it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, really, what it's done is just the platform as a whole is it's just completely allowed me to put myself out there and to connect with others and to put my energy out there. I think that I like to think that I try to be a good person. I try to, cultivate good energy to put good out into the universe. And I think the podcast as a conduit allows me to attract those type of people back to me.
Hmm.
And as that happens over time, whether it's that karma, that energy, the blessings, the love, like I put out love and I get it back. And because of that, like over time, it's just completely changed my life. One of the reasons why, ultimately, when I did leave finance and I went into podcasting and into media was because I noticed in finance, my world was getting smaller. I was talking to less people that were just richer. Basically, that's how you make
Yeah.
more money. You talk to
Yeah.
less people that have more money. Ultimately, if you got one or a couple billionaire clients, you're good. You're done. Like that's it. That's all. That's the dream. And then you talk to less people. And I found myself kind of looking more secluded, like in terms of not putting myself out there more. And I felt that I had more to offer than, let's just say, just making money.
Yeah.
So that, and I was still helping people, but fewer and fewer that were just wealthier, which that's the game. In this manner, I mean, I've had individuals on that were solopreneurs all the way up to, C-suite execs to, billionaires. Like I've had many, many people from different walks of life on there. And I feel like even them, even the most, the famous people, the this, the that, even them, providing them with a platform to tell and share their story allows them an ability to be connected with others as well. And you'd be shocked. And that's why I encourage others to do it because it doesn't have to be something like I'm doing. You don't have to do this full time. It doesn't have to be your main gig. It doesn't have to be any of that. You can do one episode a month and it's still amazing. And the
It
person that
is.
you bring on your show to do that one episode per month,
Yeah.
you're giving them an opportunity to share and to feel heard and to feel connected and to help somebody else. Because, sometimes we look at celebrities and other people and we think that, oh, they can do it, I can't. Or maybe their story's great and mine isn't.
Hmm.
Or maybe nobody would care about mine. But the bottom line is, you don't know on the other side of that audience who's going to be helped based or encouraged based off of hearing your voice. And somebody might like your voice better than mine. Somebody might not like my voice. They're like, I don't like this guy, Adam. He does too many podcasts. He's crazy, whatever. It doesn't matter. In all reality, I mean, some people might not like my content. That's okay. So that's why I encourage others to share their content as well,
Yeah.
even if they don't know what that's going to be. Because then the other part of it is we haven't always had the opportunity to participate in writing our own stories and our own histories.
Mm.
You go back far enough, and it's the people that own the newspapers. It's the
Yep.
people that own the printing press. You go further
Absolutely.
back, it's the people that own the papyrus paper, or whatever it was
Yeah.
called. It's the people that had the ink, whatever. Go back, who had the clay tablet, who had the chisel, who knew how to read, who didn't know how to read, who
Right.
could memorize something in long prose in the Greek time to you
Right.
can start remembering the story, who changed the story, who didn't change the story. Like our histories have been written for us for thousands of years. This is one of the first time where everybody can participate in writing their own history. So
That's
to take
amazing.
that for granted, don't do it. Like get out there, get
Mm.
in the game.
Get in the game, get out there, tell your story, share what's on your heart. I love that. That's
Mhm.
so just, it just opens up the door to step out there
Yeah.
and be okay with the fact that not everybody is going to be connected to your content, but there are
Mhm.
people who will be, and you will speak to them. And I love
Yeah.
that you said that basically you're going to find your tribe.
Yeah.
People are going to love your voice and your message.
Yeah, and
So,
don't look and quantity. I'll just say one quick thing because sometimes specifically about podcasting, because
mhm.
sometimes it gets overlooked because especially with those, if you're out there and you're a first time podcaster, and let's just say you compare podcasting to other things. Let's say you put out an episode and you got 20 downloads. Let's say it's an hour long episode. That's 20 hours of somebody's time that they gave you. Like
Right.
now compare that to Instagram and you got 1,000 likes. Okay, you looked at it and you're like, okay, I got 1,000 likes, I got some traction. But how long did those likes take to accumulate? How much attention did you really have? You had a
Right.
millisecond compared to 20 hours. Like,
Right.
and those 20 people, whoever they are, whether you know them, you don't know them, those 20 people, instead of, watching a Netflix episode that maybe cost
Mhm.
500,000 to produce that episode or 50,000, whatever it was, if it was low
Right.
budget, I don't know. Instead of
Yeah.
doing that, they're listening to you. Like that's an honor. And
Exactly.
that, so
That's an
if
honor.
you're stuck at
Yeah.
20 downloads, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Respect that and take care of those 20 downloads and they will
There you
build.
go. That's amazing. I love that because you're just reminding us that it's not so much about comparing the numbers from one platform to another. It's about
Mm-mm.
those hours add up
That's hours.
and
That's
they're listening.
insane.
I
20
know.
hours.
And they're intently listening
And then
for
think about
the
this. You got
duration.
100 downloads. That's amazing. That's like you doing a keynote in front of 100 people and you
Wow.
have their attention for that hour or whatever the length of your show is.
Exactly. Exactly. You can't beat that with social media for sure.
Hmm.
So that said, what are a few tips that you would give to entrepreneurs who want to use podcasting to grow their visibility? They might be feeling, yeah, I don't know if anybody's listening, like you said earlier, like who's going to
Hmm.
listen to me? But on the other side, you're saying, well, those who do listen are typically
Yeah.
listening for the duration of your show. So what are a couple of tips you would give them to encourage them like this is good to do?
So I feel like most people that are starting podcasts that quit early, they
Mhm.
have the a sprinter's mindset, and they think that it's going to be this sprint. They get all this build up, all these other things, and they think, okay, I'm going to do this launch and it's going to be great. And they spend all this time on the creative and this and that and all these ideas, and then they have a sprinter's mindset, and then
Mhm.
they go and things don't happen, and then they
Oh,
start slowing up.
yeah.
Well, the problem is you're running a marathon.
Yeah.
Podcasting is a marathon, period. That's not
Yeah.
my opinion. All the big shows, if you don't know what a hockey stick growth curve is,
Hmm.
it means that think about how a hockey stick kind of goes, it's flat and then it just goes up. At the end of the stick. That's why they call it a
Okay.
hockey stick. So that being said, podcasting is a hockey stick. Like
Hmm.
that's the way this works. So if you're out there as a sprinter, like how ridiculous would it be for a sprinter to go out there and to run a marathon, and when they're sprinting, all of a sudden they can't run anymore and everybody else is still going and
Right.
they stopped and they're saying, well, this race didn't work. No, that's stupid. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's not this race didn't work or it's not podcasting doesn't work. You just have to understand when you're getting into it what it actually
But it,
is.
yeah.
So if you understand what it is and you're not in for a marathon, then you don't have to do it. You can do other things.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
can, and you're going to like it better. Like writing a book, that's kind of a sprint. Like promoting it and marketing it later, that's a marathon. But if you just want that feeling of accomplishment of getting your story out there and creating something, write a
Hmm.
book. It's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
And then and nobody can ever take that book back away from you. It's a completed work. You'll be a published author. But understand that like once you stop promoting it, once you stop marketing it, it's probably not going to get read anymore, depending on who you are. But that's okay. But at least you'll have that feeling of accomplishment.
Right.
If you're not in for a marathon, then podcasting is going to be real hard for you.
Yeah.
If your expectation is to grow a big show, that is.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is, if you believe what I just now said, then, and you can accept that, now what you want to do is you want to ingrain it in your life. It shouldn't be this other thing. It needs to be ingrained in your life. So the
Yeah.
way that I'm able to stay so consistent is we have systems, and my calendar already has interviews on it. That's it,
Yep.
because my calendar already has interviews on it. It's harder for me to not do those, to cancel those interviews, then I might as well just do them. If I don't want to do, I might as well do them. It's going to be too much
Right.
of a pain if I didn't want to do them and cancel them.
Yeah.
Now, I just happen to love doing them, so I'm going to do them, but not every day. Some days I'm like, what? I got to do this. So,
But
so
it's part of
that's
your
the,
lifestyle.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the final tip I'll give is perspective, like on the business and the industry of it. So there's 150 million plus YouTube channels, less than 4 million podcasts out there. We're in basically like year one of YouTube. If you knew what YouTube was going to be now in year one of YouTube, would you have had a channel? Would you have stayed consistent? Would you have figured it out? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody would say yes
Yeah.
to that one. All content creators that I talk to
For
would,
sure.
right? So now, for some of you, for the first time in your life, you have inside information. That's going to happen. There's going to be over 100 million podcasts. 100% that's going to happen. The
Hmm.
question is, are you going to put out episodes? Are you going to stay consistent? And are you going to potentially create generational wealth for your family
Wow.
based off of doing episodes and based off of understanding it's a marathon? And also now, if you didn't know that information, now you have an understanding of the business.
Yeah.
You're in the right market. Maybe some of you, again, for the first time in your lives, now, can you do your part of it to, reap that harvest that's coming?
Yeah, it's a long-term game and looking in advance to see, okay, if this is changed in within YouTube, like if the trajectory of
Yeah.
YouTube has like gone uphill so quickly, and for those who stuck with it, like look
Yeah.
where they are now, right? And so
Well,
the
and
same
just
thing's going to happen with
one,
podcasting.
and one quick note, the reason why, because some may say, well, podcasting's been around for a while too. No, but the reason why is because ad attribution. So
Mm,
there's an actual technical reasons you couldn't monetize small shows on podcasts in the past. The technology didn't exist.
right,
Podcasting came out of radio. So you could only monetize a big show through a host read ad. You
right.
couldn't sell 100 downloads, or in YouTube's case, in the early days, you could monetize a small channel and you could get paid for your views, even if you had a very small channel.
Hmm.
Now you can do the same with a podcast, which is why more creators will be attracted to it. So that's why because you can make money now even early. So
Yeah.
because of those things, that's why it's going to continue to grow as a space, like just
Mm,
period, because more
yeah.
creators are going to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
And when we look at the global audience as well, like it's easier. Audio's easier. You can record a podcast on your phone. My first 300 episodes were recorded on my phone and not even edited and uploaded.
Wow. Wow.
And I had regular headphones. I didn't even have the AirPods. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't even know if AirPods were out back then, actually.
Yeah.
That's 9 years ago. So maybe they weren't even out, but I know I had the regular headphones on,
Mm-hmm.
and we still grew an audience.
Yeah.
I had to
Because
throw that
people are
in.
there for you and your content.
I had to throw that out there for those that are stuck in their head out there that are like, I need the right mic. I need this. I don't know how to do it. I did it on my phone. And you could
There you
still do it
go.
on your phone. Somebody's going to start a show today on their
On
phone
their
and it's going
phone.
to be huge. And they're
Yeah.
not even going to edit it. They're just going to upload it.
That's right. It doesn't have to be perfect. And like you said, it's just get out of our heads and just do the work because we want to. The passion is there and we want to do it. But we sometimes we can make excuses for why, well, it doesn't sound like this podcast over here that it's this professional sounding show and mine is not,
I
I can tell
still
you that.
release unprofessional audio to this day. I'm like, sometimes I'll be out or I'm doing something else and I'm in a VIP room of something or somewhere and I bring my little mic with me. It's not the
Yeah.
big setup that I'm looking at right
Yeah.
now. And I'm like, I am never going to get in front of this person again. They're going to say yes, they'll be on my show and they are never going to answer the call. I'm going to be dealing with the publicist. I'm going to do all that. How about I go talk to him right now?
There you go. There you go.
That's so
You
I
got to
still
catch
do
it
it.
in the moment when you
I
can.
still do
Yeah.
it. So forget would, could.
Yeah.
I'd still do it. I'm gonna do it in the future. I'll do it this week. I don't care.
There you go. It's worth it. It's worth it. And nobody really cares. I mean, at the end of the day, they just want the content, the encouragement, the inspiration. They're not checking to see if we have the best mic. So
Hmm.
I love that. So that said, what keeps you going? What keeps you? I know you're doing this every day. It's on your schedule like
Systems.
clockwork.
That's what keeps me going. Systems. Like it's
Yeah.
doing that. And when I get to
Yeah.
do and the guests themselves, like
Yeah.
the fun part is I think for somebody that's a learner, if somebody's like a natural learner, if they like to learn,
Hmm.
then podcasting's a thing. Like I don't if you're like to me, I used to read at one point in my life a minimum of one book per week. Now
Oh,
I like
nice.
talking to people and podcasts and authors and other things, and I like to
Hmm.
get directly to the people that are making the history and that are doing and that are making history in our present day. And so
Yeah.
for me, it doesn't get any closer to the primary source than talking to the history makers of
Yeah.
our day
So
now.
true. So
So
true.
if you're a learner, if you're into that, if you're like, it's like, start a show, get a
Yeah.
platform, start interviewing those authors, right, to
Exactly.
those books you like.
There's so much we learn through interviewing. I love interviewing guests because I always learn something every time, and it almost feels like you're being mentored in a way. So as a host, I feel like I'm benefiting from this
I tell
transaction.
them that. You know what I tell them? I'll be like, all right, this question's not for the audience. This one's for me. I want to get some free consulting. How would you
Right.
what would you do in this situation? Again, this
Yeah.
isn't for the audience. This is my
Yeah.
situation. I do that on the show all the time.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, no, this one's for me. I know
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
charge. I know what you charge. No.
That's what podcasting can do. I mean, it's amazing, and that's why we do it. We love it. It's a win-win on both sides.
Mhm.
But what does so this is my final question for you today, and I think this will sort of wrap everything up. But we're all about building legacy and making sure your voice rises to the surface in one's life, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, using
Mm.
podcasting as a means to just share your voice, your mission, your passion. But to you, what does it mean to build legacy through your
Mm.
voice and your platform?
Yeah. This took the answer to that question, building legacy. It really took a big. Got to understand another layer of that. So in last October, I lost my mom. It was pretty sudden. She was a tornado of all things, kind of crazy, like
Um,
stuff you see out of a movie.
right.
And prior to that, I had these plans of bringing her on the show and doing all these other things, and we were going to do like a monthly segment. Now, what I did get to do though is I have three different times I brought her on the show, and right before that, like before this happened, I actually was out there and I did an interview with her in person, and I actually brought out. So I had a couple friends with me, and it was kind of funny. They got to write down some questions I asked her. I still have the paper from the questions. And what was interesting to me is now she's been gone for a good couple months now, right? Since last October. And what I value most are those recordings because I get to hear her voice. I get to hear her tell her story and I get to hear her laugh. I get to hear her. So legacy now is a little bit different for me because
Wow.
now I have a different level of understanding of what we're actually doing. What you and I did today was we created an episode together that, you know, if I have kids one day, they're going to listen to it. My great grandkids will listen to it. Like, so at some point, like, we made something today. We're now part of each other's legacy. So it becomes an interesting dynamic that a different layer and level of understanding to what that means. And so now when I look at perspective, I'm thinking, when I bring somebody on a show, and it's already starting to happen, like their kids are going to see it and they're going to be like, wow, that was my mom, that was my dad, or wow, that was my grandpa.
Yeah.
I had on Bob Mears the other day. He was the person who grew Reebok from, like, I don't know, to billions of dollars. So he was the CEO during that time.
Mhm.
And I saw a comment on his video, and my team brought it to my attention. They're like, and it said, that's my grandpa. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's what it means, is
yeah.
like when you say you're part of somebody's legacy, and
Yeah.
that means like now it's kind of a two-way street on this. It's not just like my legacy, like we're all connected in this sense. And if you create a podcast episode, even if you do one episode, you do 1,000 episodes, doesn't matter. Then you're part of all of those individuals' legacy. And that's what legacy means to me now. And it's a responsibility.
Ooh, that is deep. And that is a beautiful way and perspective to look at
It's
podcasting.
different. I didn't have it
Yeah.
before. I was 9 years in this business. As you live life and you experience things like that, I
Yeah.
never thought of it in a million years. I'm like, oh, wow.
Wow. Like
So if
my
I,
mind right now is just like
yeah.
exploding
So
with the
so
idea of
if you
what that
haven't
means.
brought your family on, your parents or whatever else you might, bring them on.
That's
You're gonna miss that. You're
amazing.
gonna want that. You're gonna
I'm
want
gonna
that episode. I wish I
capture
could have
that.
brought my grandparents on. I wish I would have. I didn't.
Oh man.
They've been gone for well before I started a show. But that's what I mean. That feeling you
Yeah.
had. That, oh man, it's like you will value those things the most one day, possibly.
Day. Yes. It's capturing the essence of our humanity and that interconnectedness because we all need each other. And even when someone is gone on the other side, like we still have that essence of who they were and how they brought joy to us. And
Yep.
that means so much. Wow. That's deep. That's deep. Well, thank you for sharing all of this with us and helping us to see the importance of what we're doing in this podcasting space. It's not just throwing content out there. There's actually something much bigger to this. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's a commitment, it's a work, and it's a responsibility. So yeah, I love that. Thank you. And I'd love for you to share with us how we can get in touch with you because some of us want to write books too. So
Yeah.
share everything
So
you do and how we can get in touch.
real simple, just on Instagram, ask Adam Torres. If you want to look at any other content, there's a link there. If you got a book idea, a show idea, shoot me a DM. Love to hear from you. But just ask Adam Torres on Instagram.
Ask Adam Torres on Instagram. Very cool. Thank you so much for being with me today. It was awesome.
Soul podcasting, come on in the house. This is amazing. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.